All right, and we back on the forecast. Now, in order to talk about and solve the issues within the black community, we must first look at the mind frame that we as black American people especially have. We suffer from what is known as Stockholm syndrome. We are the only group of people who were forcibly taken from our homes, stripped of our language, stripped of our ancestry, stripped of our religion, stripped of everything, and brought here and had a slave mentality instilled. And even to this day, we are the only group of people that other groups of people tell to forget our history or tell us, oh, well, that's the past. Don't worry about it. And yet, we are the only group of people who will sit here and accept it because we don't know our history. We don't know any of that. We can't really define it. And, I know there are people out there who believe in certain things, but especially American black people need to let go of the whole religious aspect of the game. That shit is too fucking dangerous. To me, that shit is poison. But I gotta quote Jay-Z here. Christian nigga, Jewish nigga, Muslim nigga, Hebrew nigga, Moor nigga, African nigga, American nigga, still nigga. It doesn't matter what you claim. And yet we are sitting here wasting our time arguing with each other saying, well, we come from these people. We have these beliefs and do these things. The problem with that is none of it worked. None of it changed anything. And the only thing that will work is to empower yourself. See, what these people did was they were tribes too. We black people have suffered from tribalism and white people have suffered from tribalism. But what white people managed to do was create this banner of white, which included all of these tribes under this umbrella of being white. And instead of us doing the same to counteract that movement in order to put us in the position we did, we went along with it and was easily divided and conquered. It's an art of war, divide and conquer. Simple technique, but very effective. But what I never understood is how could you believe in something so much that a group of people who did the things that they did to you gave you and told you this was for your best good. At the same time, they were telling you slavery is in your best interest. And then they were giving you this Bible and telling you this is in your best interest. Now, I know a lot of people, when they hear that, they would think it's just blasphemous. But the problem is, especially with black Christians, is they give their money away to these people, right? The black churches have made $420 billion and have not created infrastructure for us in the last 30 years. Imagine if we had invested that money into infrastructure instead of into churches. And the problem with a lot of Christians, and especially the ones who are the most harsh, I'm pretty sure they have not read the entire Bible themselves or even a part of it. Because according to the Bible, Jesus will only save you if you're of Israel, if you're an Israelite. So if you don't identify as a Hebrew, then you're already out of the group of people who Jesus is supposed to be coming back to save. But I don't say that because I'm not trying to be against people's religion and people's beliefs. I don't really care what you believe, but the problem is we as a group, as people, have to get rid of that tribalism thing. And we can't sit here and argue, well, Islam is the only way, or Christianity is the only way, or following this certain set of ideas is the only way. We can get together right now as a group, as a delegate, and come up with whatever we want to come up with. They've always appointed us black leaders and said, well, hey, your black leaders were for these racist ass bills that we impose. So, don't blame us, blame them.
Daryl Scott, pastor, New Spirit Revival Center, and Black Trump supporter. But speaking of the community, let me just say this real quick. Omarosa, I told you I'm going to try to throw it in. I was recently contacted by some of the top gang thugs in Chicago for a sit-down. They reached out to me because they associated me with you. They respect you. They believe in what you're doing. And they want to have a sit-down about lowering that body count. So in a couple of weeks, I'm going in Chicago.
I think it's a great idea because Chicago is totally out of control. Absolutely.
Well, I let them know, I said, we got to lower that body count. We don't want to talk about anything else. Get that body count down. And they agreed that the principals, they can do it. These are guys straight from the streets, no politicians, straight street guys. But they're going to commit that if they lower that body count, we'll come in and we'll do some social programs. So they're in agreement.
Well, if they're not going to solve the problem, and what you're doing is the right thing, then we're going to solve the problem for them, because we're going to have to do something about Chicago. Because what's happening in Chicago should not be happening in this country.
But they want to work with this administration.
Good.
They want to. They reached out. I didn't reach out to them. They reached out to me. They want to work with this administration. They believe in this administration. They didn't believe in the prior administration. They told me this out of their mouth. But they see hope with me.
I love that.
But how about we start actually appointing our own black leaders to discuss certain issues? But the problem is, we can't even get together and nominate particular people because we'll start having discussions about issues about religion and certain people's beliefs. When really, at the end of the day, all of these religions were used literally to enslave us and to murder us and to justify it. Literally, that's what they have been used to do. So at some point we have to say, whoa, maybe this shit is a little bit dangerous. But not only our identity has been beaten out of us, this whole religious notion and all of these ideas and concepts that we have today has been beaten into us to replace our identity. And naturally, as a human being would do, you try to find your identity that you lost. But if it has been destroyed, you just find anything and try to relate to that. You know, but we as a community, instead of coming up with to solve the many issues that we need, most of all is protection, because that is the one area we have lacked in that has hurt everything. We have had the economies, the families, all of that, but we did not have the protection. And the problem that we as a people have to realize is, for instance, if you're a Moor and you get pulled over by the cops and you say, hey, look, I'm a Moor, you know, here's my rights and all of that stuff. Are they just going to say, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know you was a Moor when I pulled you over. I thought you was just black. I'm sorry. Have a nice day, sir.
Prosecutors facing off against a man defending himself.
A man who claims he doesn't need a license to practice law, whose arguments would the jury believe. It's tonight's edition of Carmel on the Case.
44-year-old Anthony Williams was all smiles in court, charged with practicing law without a license.
Very simply, the state intends to prove through the presentation of evidence and documents that Mr. Williams is pretending to be a lawyer.
Williams operates an internet-based law firm. He was accused of acting as an attorney after he filed documents in a foreclosure case. Williams calls himself a private attorney general and a sovereign peace officer. Authorities call Williams a sovereign citizen. Believers think many laws do not apply to them.
You can't arrest nobody for a traffic violation.
Well, we are.
Last year, Williams posted this video of his arrest for driving without a license.
And I'm also a foreign diplomat.
He says he doesn't need one. During that case, which took 8 months to conclude, he was taken to jail twice. First for failure to follow a judge's order, and then later for driving without a license a second time. In the end, he entered a no contest plea and paid a fine. But then,
Mr. Williams, you're under arrest.
a month later, Williams was back in handcuffs, this time facing felony charges involving the unlicensed practice of law. When taken into custody at the airport, Williams was carrying his private attorney general ID, the badge, and handcuffs.
And y'all charging me with unlicensed practice of law, and I'm trying to understand what law are you charging me with unlicensed, because there's a whole bunch of law.
At trial, Williams represented himself.
The state have been very deceptive and misleading in what the real law is in the state of Florida.
He spent much of the time arguing with the judge.
And I've never given legal advice. I only give lawful advice. And there's a difference between legal and lawful.
You're arguing apples and oranges.
It took the jury 1 hour before returning the same verdict on all 10 charges.
The defendant is guilty of unlicensed practice of law as charged in the information.
It was bad news for Williams, and it was about to get worse. Judge Andrew Siegel sentenced him to 180 days in jail, 22 years probation, and ordered him to turn over his badges and ID.
No, they're gonna say, I don't give a fuck, get out of the car, nigga. It doesn't matter your beliefs. And there are a million things we as a black community can get on the same page about and start implementing today. But we sit up here and waste time arguing about the little shit that we disagree upon. And most of that comes from divide and conquer. And once we realize that, we'll realize that black people, and I say black people because we should identify under the banner of black. Guess what? We can make it mean whatever we want it to mean. You know, if you one of those people who say, if you get rid of your religion, what do you have? You can make your own. You can start from scratch. One thing that I do not agree with religion on is the hierarchy and how it works. You have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But nature shows us that you have the man, the woman, and then you have the child. You cannot have a baby without a man and a woman. And I don't agree with anything that puts one over the other because they are equally important. As a man, I know how important it is to have a role in your kid's life. And women who say, well, I don't need a man, my kid doesn't need a father, that's bullshit. And as a man, I understand how arrogant it would be for me to say, oh, my kid doesn't need a mother. Yes, it fucking needs a mom. They are equally important. I'm not saying they're the same, but they're equally important. And we shouldn't be following anything that puts one over the other. Now, I heard there used to be countries where, you know, the men handled the men's issues, women handled women issues, and men and women's issues the women handled. Now, I don't agree with, you know, the women handling the men and women issues. There should be a man and a woman handling those issues. But we can build societies off of whatever we decide. We can let go of all of this negative shit because it has not worked for all of this time, and only one thing will fucking work. It's us being on the same page and demanding, not asking, not begging, but actually going out there and taking our respect. And going out there holding each other down regardless of what we identify as or what we believe in. And that's the irony of it. Once we get past those simple, ignorant divides that are man-made, we are on the same page more than we are told, more than we like to realize. We are actually on the same page. We have been on the same page many times in history. All we have to do is realize that we have to protect it. That's where we keep going wrong. So, you know, I want to hear what you got to say about this. I'm pretty sure you got an opinion. Now, I'm not trying to bash religion. I don't care what you believe. But the problem is this stuff becomes harmful to us. That's a clear symptom of Stockholm Syndrome. You take something that someone has beat the shit out of you and giving you and say, accept this and I'll stop beating the shit out of you. And then they use it to justify beating the shit out of you. That's fucking Stockholm Syndrome. All right, so I want to hear what you got to say.
Hello, Steven, my boy. Yeah. Hello, my ass. Who this nigga up on that name?
Oh, Steven, you have nails for breakfast. What's the matter? Why you so ornery? You miss me, huh?
Oh, yes, sir. I miss you like a hog miss slop, like a baby miss mammy titty. I miss you like I misses a rock in my shoe. Now, I ask you, who this nigga on that name?
Hey, Snowball. You wanna know my name or the name of my horse? You ask me.
That's who the hell you calling Snowball, horse boy. I'll snatch your black ass off that nag down here in the mud so fast make your head
Steven. Let's keep it funny. Django here is a Freeman.
This nigga here?
That nigga there. Let me at least introduce the two of you. Django, this is another cheeky black bugger like yourself, Steven. Steven, this here's Django. You two ought to hate each other.
Calvin, just who the hell is this nigga you feels the need to entertain?
Django and his friend in gray here, Dr. Schultz, are customers. And they are our guests, Steven. And you old decrepit bastard ought to show them every hospitality. You understand that?
Yes, sir. Him I understand, but I don't know why I got to take lip off this nigga.
You don't have to know why. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. I understand.
Well, good. Let's spend the night. Go up in the guest bedrooms and get two ready.
He gonna stay in the big house?
Steven, he's a slaver. It's different.
In the big house?
Well, you got a problem with that?
Oh, no, I ain't got no problem with it. If you ain't got no problem with burning the bed, the sheets, the pillowcases, and everything else when this black-ass motherfucker's
Now, that
gone.
is my problem. They are mine to burn. Now, your problem right now is making a good impression. And I want you to start solving that problem right now and get them goddamn rooms ready.
Yes, sir, Monsieur Candy.
Go on now.
Can't believe you brought a nigga to stay in the big house. Your daddy rolling over in this goddamn grave right now.
It's getting worse and worse.
I guess to turn this here Guinea man into a proper field hand? Is that what you're talking about?
A proper field hand who speaks and understands the king's English and does exactly as he's told. As a matter of fact, I'll give you 6 months until my birthday for you to accomplish that.
Oh, Master Reynolds, I don't quite know how to thank you. You sure know how to make my days happy, Master Reynolds. Yes, sir. Your pleasure for sure.
Do as I say, fiddler. It's all the thanks I expect from any of my niggers.
Oh, I love you, Master Reynolds.
Now, I'm riding ahead to Campbell's Inn, get me a tank of the mail. You catch up with me just as soon as that horse is shoot.
Master, you gonna leave me a paper saying that you give permission for old fiddler to be out here with this here Guinea man? Because if any white folks come by and see us out here by themselves, they're just liable to up and take us for runaways.
Oh, yes, sure they would, wouldn't they? So I wouldn't take too much time shoeing that horse if I were you.
Yes, sir. Wouldn't take too long shoeing that horse if I was you. Wouldn't take too long. I'd right enough say I wouldn't take too long. You hear, massa? Toby Guinea man? Hear him tell old fiddler about making you into some righteous sort of field hand? Lord, you don't even know your name. First lesson. You Toby, and I's fiddler. And I'll rip your black hide if you don't do what I say. You don't know where you're going. You don't know about hoeing no tobacco. You don't know about no Mr. Ames with no whip. Don't know how to talk either. Get on up in there. No. And you on a wagon. This is a wagon. You say wagon. You say wagon. Wagon. Good, Guinea man. Now, Master give you a new name, too. Master say you name Toby. That's who you is, yeah? Toby. I's fiddler. 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 Because I plays for the Christmas and the Jubilo. Sarah's fiddler, that's me. Now you say Toby. Kunta Kinte. Oh, no, that's your African name. Master give you a new name. Master say you name Toby. Hey, what's the matter with you? Turn me loose. Kunta Kinte. You Africans are all alike. You're crazy. Master say your name is Toby. That's who you is. He own you. He can do anything he want with you. There ain't nothing you can do about it. I've been scratching and scrambling most of my days to get where I got. Now, I eats in the big house kitchen. I got pine boards on the floor of my cabin. And it don't take much coughing for the master to make me have a cup of corn whiskey for my medicine. Now that is fine living for a nigga, and I'll be damned if any African Guinea man is gonna make me lose all I've been working for. Now you take my meaning? He don't speak the King's English, fiddler. You better learn. You Toby, you best learn or you gonna get the bloody back for sure. And me too, maybe.
I wake up at 4:45 in the a.m. every morning. That's about 12 hours before most niggas wake up. I am a very spiritual person. I start each day by thanking the white man for the sunrise, for the land I walk on, for the air I breathe. I also apologize for niggas, but Lord knows they ain't gonna apologize for themselves. I am not black, nor do I consider myself to be black. Many people mistake me for being Negro because they don't know that I am currently living with the heartbreak of revitiligo. That's a skin condition that's the opposite of what Michael Jackson's got. Every morning I apply this topical ointment made of bleach and sulfur. I like to think it works. Luckily, I hadn't gotten much darker in the last few years. As you can see here, I enjoy building small shrines to certain special white people who are important in my life. This one here is dedicated to John Wayne. Great white man. Didn't take no shit from niggers, Indians, nor Mexicans. And this one here is for George Bush the First. Loved him. Now this one here is dedicated to the most soulful soul singer to ever live. Yeah, I work about 32 jobs over the course of a week. I think it's interesting I got 32 jobs and most niggas say they can't find one. Niggas.